request as we go live what to talk about, but I need to talk about I need to break down this podcast has actually blown up. Right, so I'm gonna set this up. Let me just set this up, people. So if I go to there I am. Right, so I'm gonna do it this way. I don't usually do it this way, but I'm gonna do it this way anyway still, yeah, because yeah, that's where it goes anyway. So let me just set this. Let me just go, because you know I'm just gonna respond to it, because you know what, still, yeah, because yes, no, we got to squeeze. Right, let's go. Make sure this sorry guys, 1 second.
Viewers and subscribers.
Okay, right. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna I'm gonna turn this down there. I'm gonna play out this video, and hopefully I'm gonna take up the speed a bit, because I want to get through it quick anyway. So yeah. But just to give you expose this. This guy here is doing his I can't believe I forgot his name, man. But anyway, yeah, he's doing his podcast, and I listened to his podcast he did with Eni Aluko, and I thought he set it up, he done it over a bit still, yeah, because he just kind of stepped and did his, you know, when you do a podcast and you let the podcast do the responding and the reactions and this and that, but it's going viral on the side where I'm not kind of siding or this saying that Eni Aluko is anti, she's woke, she's over woke, she ain't got a clue what she's doing, she says dumb statements, and the guy kind of set her up a little bit still, yeah. But let me just respond to a couple of his scenarios just to add, you know what I mean, what my feeling is when I hit certain points anyway. So let me see if this works at this speed. Okay, that's great.
Since my DEI or diversity debate with mainstream TV journalist and ex-footballer or soccer player Eni Aluko went viral, is the assumption then that black people are just 2.5 times better?
Maybe. You have to talk about your own experience. I have to talk about my own experience.
I'm talking about facts. I'm talking about 2.5 times.
What you've done is you've highlighted.
The trailer alone has more than 2 million views on Twitter and opened this channel up to a whole new audience. Eni's
that's it. The guy is Andrew Gold, yeah, still, yeah. And I'm thinking, oh my, okay. Went out there. Big up to Eni Aluko. She's from Birmingham, United Goals. You know what I'm saying? Born in Birmingham, born and bred, and smashing it football wise, and you know what I'm saying. But also, she's got a first class degree as a lawyer. Crazy, man, crazy. And you know what I mean. And she's done amazing things. She played for amazing players for England, and also got, I believe she's got over 100 claps for England. So big up to her.
Nemesis Joey Barton couldn't resist a pop. We both earned it, but right. You got the job, and I didn't, and I had to do all this myself. And that's because of our skin colour. So, and yet you're calling.
And before you go into Joey Barton, I have he's a trash can boy.
Give me the privilege one.
I think it's very racist to assume that. It's extremely racist, and you know, if there's one thing I can say on this podcast.
So I thought it would be a good idea to have a deep dive into the most controversial and confusing moments. I like Eni Aluko, and I think she means well, but she is part of a woke cult that has infested and taken over the mainstream press. Do not blame her, but blame her bosses, her peers, the people instilling authoritarian DEI and diversity quotas into our media without our permission.
Okay, he just said she's part of a woke cult. She's part of a woke cult, yeah? You know what I'm saying? So what was the cult that was in charge before wokeness was about still? That was been running the world for about a good 1,000 years, you could say. You know what I'm saying? So you're saying that what was there before was a cult as well? Or would you say that was just normal life? Wow, you know what I'm saying?
I want to specifically look at Eni's arguments and the paradoxical hypocrisies in which they are dripping. Some of these are extremely obvious. You can watch the whole thing on Heretics, of course. First, I want to know what you think of this kind of content. The reaction commentary is a little different to what I've been doing.
Eni, wait till the show, called Heretics, you know. They're calling you a heretics, sis.
Let me know below, and if you care about this kind of content, please just hit subscribe. It makes all the difference, and I'm fascinated to see how many people.
This is his feedback. Before anyone goes any further, go into this. This is his feedback video about his response about the podcast. Go and watch out the podcast for yourself anyway still, yeah. But yeah, do check it out.
Do subscribe just from watching this video. But more importantly, more subscribers means I can get bigger and bolder guests and grow this channel into the stratosphere. Now, the first thing to note is that although socials from the video have gone viral, it's been covered by no one in the mainstream media. And yet, YouTubers have been covering it and racking up millions of views. This video struck a chord. There are things, of course, that go on off-screen too. And if you stay till the end of the video, I can give you an insight into how things were off-screen, off-camera. And I'll be brutally honest. Here are some of my favourite moments, starting with some false facts about boardroom diversity.
Football actually is an example of brilliant diversity, and I think our England men's team is. The problem is actually why that doesn't translate to the boardroom, right? So why is there, as you said, I think it's actually like 34% diversity in terms of football, but it's very, very, very limited in the boardroom. So that the issue was why there's not a translation of diversity in the boardroom, and I mentioned that, well, it's because of gatekeeping, it's because of, a lot of the money and decision making is in boardrooms, and ultimately that's where gatekeeping kicks in. That's where athletes traditionally are not seen as part of those decisions, and I would encourage people to and clubs to actually bring athletes on board in that decision making process and diversify boardrooms.
You're right that it's sports, not just football. You're right.
Yeah,
that was
sport,
the
yeah,
thing about
pretty
sports. Sure. In the boardroom in sports, it's 17% are BAME, and as opposed to 18% of the general population. So that surprised me. To me, that seems pretty fair as well.
Yeah, that did catch her off still anyway. So yeah, and with 18%, that sounds like quite a lot. You're thinking, yeah, but you have to also you gotta look at some of the boardrooms. They're owned by companies from the Middle East, as we call it, and they've counted the BAME. So everybody who's basically non-European, I would say, they'll say that. So it's not looking at it from a black directly at a black perspective, but it's just looking at basically everybody from around the world. Obviously, the Glazers are seen as non-BAME, I believe. Anyway, still yes. So a lot of teams are owned by good for the teams are owned by country by, I believe, Chinese, Asian corporations and kingdoms. You know what I'm saying? So I would have hit him back like that still. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think with sport as well, you gotta talk about sort of cultural norms and cultural background, right? So typically, sports like tennis.
As you'll go on to see, this is one of the many times when Eni is unable to answer the question and goes off on a tangent about tennis. Again, this isn't her fault. This is a cult-like ideology, and she isn't used to facing a reasonable person out.
Bro, stop saying it's a cult-like ideology. This is right. It's not a cult-like ideology to say that basically that we see and let's be real, players of African descent, whether via the Caribbean or African diaspora players playing football, just like in basketball, we are majority of the time got the gifting of that physical area, like the 100 meters, like certain things. We've got the gifting in it, and we just run things whether you like it or not. But the thing is, what you do find is when we get to lower levels, that you won't find as many guys come through, because it's only the excellent young footballers get through. And you might say, oh, what do you know, what are your stats? Listen, because I know talking to young people that's gone through the system that are not white. Notice that by the time you get to under 18s, only the Jude Bellinghams of the black players, and you know what I'm saying, and he's 50% black, and not saying he's less or greater, just saying that's the fact. All the other players do have it harder. Facts are there. When a team just turns from a black team to majority black team to a different looking team totally. Within 1 year, we're going to start giving away serious contracts. That's what I've seen right to this other day, and I deal and talk to young footballers that have left academy systems. And I know it looks like, I'm not saying that they haven't got the best, but just saying that's happening to this very day. Just saying that there. Don't want to go too much on this
side of the cult. She has nowhere else to turn or to go. But let's look at the kind of cultish indoctrination they feed her. This is from the podcast she was on, where they discuss the lack of diversity in boardrooms.
And here's the bottom line. Too many sporting organisations are still too white, well above the national census average. Sporting Equals found that 93.5% of senior leadership is white, 83.33% of boards, 88.75% of coaches, 85% of officials, and 77.25% of players and athletes were white.
This is so disingenuous. Firstly, we aren't just talking about people of colour, we're talking as well about Asians. Well, culturally, there aren't many Asian football or soccer players, just as there aren't many Jews. So if white people do make up 93.5% of senior leadership, then you would think black people make up the majority of the rest, meaning they're overrepresented, given they make up 3 or 4% of the UK. But this is how insidious and deceptive they are. They then show us 3 examples where white people are significantly lower. So boards, coaches, and officials. Well, Where are these other bits and pieces? Where are the bits that make it up to 93.5%? They're not showing us what that is. That could be anything. What are these people? Hairstylists or who knows what? They really don't want to show us. As of the 2021 Diamond Diversity Report, all minorities made up 13% of the national workforce. Bear in mind, too, that this reflects the workforce population of today. Now, why would that reflect the senior leaders, given it should take 20 to 30 years in a job to become one? Okay, now we're going to get into vague stuff about white privilege before a Kafkaesque deception that will have you tearing your head.
And you know what's really cool for these guys, yeah? They show stats like in that sort of way, but they don't show the other stats like, you know, why are we taking up majority of the prison still? You know what I mean? They don't want to throw these stats up going, oh look, it's terrible for us at the top. What about it down the bottom when it's terrible for us at the bottom? So you could open up stats like that and start being a statometer. But I do say that he had a raw deal. The reason why he's doing this is because he had a raw deal himself, because he's presented a cool program that was which he was successful, and basically he got rejected because of his skin color, and he's hurt by it. I'm going, for goodness sake. Like, yo, bro, that's my life. But anyway, it's where it goes. And people complain when I do this, and his brother gets it for a couple of years, and still be able to release a cool documentary. He's got something to do it with. I'm coming from zero. But anyway,
hair out. See if you can spot it.
When I get a job ahead of a white man, who's typically the world's been built for that privilege, I can only point to the fact that I'm getting the job because of all those things I've just mentioned.
Because of your talents,
right?
So I think we're agreeing though.
No. And where I entirely disagree is this idea that, well, the DEI policy gave you the job. There is no DEI policy.
But that's not what I'm saying. So here's what she's saying. I got the job because of my talent. Good. But it's dangerous to assume I would have gotten it without DEI. But I didn't get it because of DEI. DEI doesn't even exist. Wow, that is pretty incredible. Obviously, policies to have more minorities in place do exist, and they're perhaps even a nice idea at the start, I don't know, but they mean that talented non-minorities, which I guess in this case means white people, will miss out on jobs that they were good enough to get, which is pretty horrific and racist. In fact, here are the major UK broadcasters telling us exactly that.
No broadcaster has any laws or quota system that they need to abide by. It's a myth.
One of the hardest parts for me in this interview was explaining how I was told when I used to make documentaries for the BBC that I couldn't continue to be on screen and would have to be off camera, even though they were my ideas.
Okay.
Somebody from a minority, just anyone, I don't know if they had to be talented or even know anything about the stories I wanted to tell as a journalist, they would just come on the screen in my place and be the journalist and pretend that they found the story. So after 15 minutes of talk about DEI and diversity, Eni Aluko then turns to my favourite thing, meritocracy.
But what if that person from a minority background?
Okay, right. He raised a point in terms of these DEI things, situations anyway. So yeah, I not saying that. I think she's saying that basically her talent has put her in a place. I watched the whole podcast and she was saying that basically she puts herself well across because, you know, she's got a lawyer background, first in a university, first in a degree, and she's a very good footballer. So much that she's got 100 caps, I believe, for England. Played for Juventus and Chelsea. You know, I mean, big baller, man. Big boy. She played in the US as well. But when she was studying in Brunel, when she was studying in America, she was you know, I believe she was playing in the US and come backward and forward at one stage. And you know what? The guy's kind of saying that her talent has got herself there, but she's saying, do we believe that these organizations are driving forward these diversity situations? I would say, from what I see and when I do talk to people on the ground in these organizations, it's not what it looks like on TV. On TV, you look like, oh my gosh, these are diverse, this is great in front of the screen. But really, the people that's really, he's kicking off because he's developed a program which he will make most of the money from, but they're saying, can it be presented by a black person? Because we have basically got to be doing more of that in front of them because of diversity quotas. He's got a major problem with that. Okay, cool. Now, that's that one experience. What I will say, from what I see right now And when I practice, have real life experience, you can bring out all the stats. You can be cute with stats. You can leave certain people out. You can put certain people in and whatsoever. And you can focus on like, look, BBC has all this. Because you have a channel called BBC One Extra, and you dump that into the stats because there's a lot of black people in there, so we're gonna chuck them all in there, and then all of a sudden everything looks good, stats look great, and that's what you can do with stats. You can mess about with stats, and so I hear what he's saying, but I don't think it is as negative toward. I don't really see these diversity situations being fulfilled in a correct manner. I'm not here to stop great people from getting there, but at the end of the day, still, as Eni Aluko said, that to achieve anything in life, we have to be 2 times, 3 times better. And I respect her for going on this show and trying to make a stand, because a lot of people in a place just enjoy the life. So I respect to you, sis, for doing a thing. But anyway, that's how I feel anyway. So let's carry on.
Background is just.
They can be really good, but they might.
Listen, I come from a sports background, right? Yeah. So for me, meritocracy and competition has been part of my life, right? Okay, Andrew, I'm going to ask you a very honest question now.
Go on.
Okay, so is that your interpretation of what they said, or is that written down as an email as what they said?
They would never write it in an email.
But you see,
are you saying don't believe me?
No. I'm asking you because I find it very hard to believe.
So at this point, she's been pushed into such a bizarre and contradictory position that the only way out of it is to do what I wanted in the first place: meritocracy. In defending her position, she's been forced to move outside of the woke position of lived experience is paramount. When it's her, we must believe that she had to work twice as hard based on no evidence. When it's me, she simply doesn't believe me. And this is the crux of the woke hypocrisy here. But here is the crux of my argument. So another stat, just to bear out my point then, is that...
You know what, bro? I actually believe that you struggled. I actually believe that you struggled to get a job. I get it. 100% get it. And you're from my perspective, you come across as a guy that's had it all its way and faced, and then up to that point to 2017, because it's 2017, it's like your first rejection. Oh my gosh, because of my color. Imagine getting rejection all your life. It feels normal. And this is being flagged up as a norm. But when we've had to live with this norm generationally, I'm not saying that you should be stepped over. And this is why these conversations, you kind of baited her into this conversation on this podcast. And I feel like doing this after thing is really, she got set up a little bit still. Yeah. And I'm a bit concerned about that. That's why I thought I'd just give my viewpoints about it. I see what Eni Aluko was trying to say. You know, end of the day, still, yeah, he was dragging stats here, dragging stats there. Everybody can be cute with stats. Everybody, and they want a fair playing ground in terms of, you know, jobs and whatever. But the situation is, you know, if we're the best guys, if we're the most charismatic, you know what I'm saying? That's why you love us black salesmen, because we're charismatic. That's why you like certain black striker, because he's got fast pace, because we're natural fast pace. Sometimes we just Usain Bolt, we're genetically made like 100 meters. We just take up the whole place. But it doesn't mean we own the space. That's ultimately what it is. You know what I'm saying? But bro, I understand your I understand your problems.
3% of the UK population are black, and 8.1% of TV characters on screen are black.
3% population of population of the UK is black. Over 30%, up to 40% of prisoners are people who are black. So, bro, so why aren't you talking about that? But you're talking because of you lost a little bit of things on your side. Yeah, because you lost it, so you're focusing on all that little top stuff, but right at the bottom. So if I was I'll go there on him. I actually go there. So listen, bro. Yeah, okay. Before you talk about, well, at least you're not gonna get locked up for anything. You know what I'm saying? You can get away with doing a lot more than what a black. But I'm not saying you should do wrong. Far from it. But this is like, bro. You just look at your local focal points when it comes to your stats, but widen the stats to hospitals, and it's 5 times more likely that black women are dying in 2024 in hospitals, having children. Deal with that stat. So deal with them negative stats as well as these so-called things that sort out little premium and proper job. That's, you know what I mean, bro. Just if you want to talk stats, let's go.
So if this is meritocracy and it's nothing to do with quotas and trying to push people up, is the assumption then that black people are just 2.5 times better at acting, news reading, and those kinds of things?
Maybe.
Really?
You see what I'm saying?
Really?
So he's like this. So what if we're better? Sometimes we're just better at certain things than you. You know what I'm saying? Get over it. You know what I mean? Get over it. Maybe maybe you had to tell us how rubbish we were over the years, because your fear was when we realized our true potential will surpass you. Cause I don't see no pyramid over in Europe. You see it in Africa. All the way, not only in Egypt, you know, all the way there down into Sudan. Right into the heartlands of black Africa. Yeah, you got little Stonehenge with 4 blocks as a sundial. So, you know, you want to do that. So what's wrong with us? If we're better, we're better. We're better ballers, we're better ballers. Look at the French football team. He's got Africa. Look at the Dutch team. Africa, Caribbean, put together. Look at the Portuguese team. Well, they got a couple of mans coming through. You know what I mean? Ronaldo, Africa, Madeira.
I mean...
So because for years,
why not?
But for years when it was that with white people, there were more white people per person of the population. Saying something like that would be considered racist.
Saying something like what?
White people are just better at TV presenting and news presenting and stuff.
Well, when I mean, white people I think have been dominant for hundreds of years, right?
Sure.
So that has been the assumption.
Ladies and gentlemen, there we have it. The woke hypocrisy in a nutshell. Again, I implore you to remember Eni means well. She has been fed this dogma for years by her peers and bosses in the mainstream media. I used to do a lot of videos about cults, and my friend Aaron Smith-Levin, who left Scientology, once told me that when he was in the cult, nothing that you could say would ever convince him that anything from Scientology was wrong or contradictory or just didn't seem to make sense. They don't see the contradictions. So what you're watching there, she is seeing something very different. And if black people are overrepresented, that's because of talent in her world. If white people are overrepresented, the assumption is it's because of racism and years of domination and all these kinds of things. Years of domination. This is a country that was, until very recently, almost entirely white. It's just, I mean, why is that dominated? It's just people living their lives. I don't deny, however, that there probably was a bit of a racist atmosphere some decades ago. But minorities have...
There's a bit of racism a few decades ago. This guy, bro, like on the real, like I like your vibe, your way you do your podcast, the way you're going on about it. But it really just sound like white fragility to me, you know. And end of the day, so yeah, it's not a couple of decades ago, and I think that white men in their 30s and 40s really think that things have changed and things are really better, but you're still living off your limited knowledge of history and truth. You know what I'm saying? So that's why you have to be real careful with what you're saying still. You know what I'm saying? You know, but you just sent me a text, man. That was the funniest statement, a bit racist decades ago. Oh my God. A bit racist, Bridget. Oh my God. Like, beat. Stephen Lawrence, man. That's what I'm saying. There's plenty of accounts. Yeah?
Presented on TV screens and now off screen. I mean, we're talking decades now. Well overrepresented. And nobody wants to talk about it. It's such a bizarre thing going on. And when you do talk with these people about this, you get...
So when we've been talking about overrepresentation of black people in prisons for the past 40 years, 50 years since we are coming to this country, when we talk about it, we get dashed out the room. Your media isn't represented. Your white face hasn't gone on there on the news and represented that misrepresentation. The moment you have to fight for your spot, there's a problem. That's how that comes across to me. You know what I'm saying? And still to this day, we're getting mistreated in the system. Oh, but you don't say that. It's much better now. It's much better for who? We here, the only way things can get better is if you can see where to clear up. This geezer, you know, he sounds more like a geezer than more a geezer. But guys, I am going after the fact that I've watched the whole podcast.
Get this result. You get what's... happening in this video with Eni
Hey,
Aluko. I mean, it's absolutely infuriating, and there's no getting through to them. And the problem here is that a lot of people now have cozy, comfy positions in jobs as DEI or diversity quota enforcers. So I look at their reports. I take an interest in this because I was excluded from TV for that very reason. I was told in no uncertain terms that was what the reason was. And I take a look, and every year they come out and say, well, things might be getting better. However, have you noticed that there are more male directors on TV shows than there are female? Well, we have to sort that out. They're not interested in meritocracy. They're not interested in culture. They're not interested in potential other reasons and passions and maybe even biology as reasons as to why there might be more male directors than female. They're also not interested, and this is really frustrating, in the number of showrunners. Because in the UK, the showrunner is the position above the director on TV shows. Showrunners are in charge of the whole thing. It is the most senior position on any TV show. And while men make up, I think it was 70% of directors on TV shows in the UK, women make up 90% of showrunners, and they are the people employing the men. That is how ridiculous the whole diversity, the whole DEI fraud is. This is a scandal that needs to be properly exposed and properly looked at, because year after year, these people want to keep their jobs, and they have to find more smaller little authoritarian measures that they can implement. And quite frankly, it's disgusting.
I don't think we should sit here and say, because there's a disproportionate amount of black people on TV, that the only reason for that is DEI.
So what could be another reason?
Talent. I think it's very racist to assume that across the board. It's extremely racist. And if there's one thing I can say on this podcast, the assumption, the premise and the assumption that if you see a black person or a woman in a job, they didn't earn it, A, and B, they're only there because of a policy and a pact, it is extremely disrespectful to that person's hard work. Because ultimately, a lot of those people, certainly all the people I know that are in privileged positions in brilliant jobs who are not white, have had to do 10 times more than white people, right?
But the demographics show that's not right. It's just not the case.
Oh, bro, shut up about these demographics, bro. You know what I'm saying? Yes, mate. Listen, you're looking at demographics from a viewpoint, guys. This guy is absolutely is annoying me. You know what I mean? He's absolutely annoying me because he's just throwing out stats and forgetting new one. And I think that this is some stats are important. I believe there's 100% stands, and I believe it should be lived experiences. But end of the day, so one thing I do know, and something that sometimes we don't shout out enough from the guys who have made it, is explaining how hard they've had to get there compared to their white colleagues. You know what I'm saying? And you make a mistake, you're out in here, you're done out here. You're the Jamaican born this, you're the Jamaican born that. We're seeing it, black ice in the media the other day, bro. But yet the media's cool, the media's safe. We need to have a conversation. So like, I hear what this guy is saying. I do appreciate where his struggle is because he's got rejected, but he is coming from I reminds me of Simon Jordan, this guy does. It really comes from a perspective of, oh, I'm Jewish and I know what it feels like. I'm like, bro, like, really? Really? The slight advantage of being Jewish or southern. Listen. Let me give you. You know, if you, I know family. My nan, you know, she Portuguese descent. I got Portuguese family who basically are Southern European. You know what I'm saying? They're seen as white. You know what I mean? And there is a privilege element with that. But once they realize you're not from around here and from the Caribbean, it's crazy. It's absolutely, it doesn't work like that, bro. So I'm trying to say, bro, like, just being able to afford the equipment to do a documentary and be able to afford to do certain things and get up and get to where you need to get to is just born out of your privilege, bro. Being able to set this place up, you know what I mean? I think Eni did point at the fact, like, listen, mate, you get a space like this is blessed. I wish I could get a space like that nice, go, ooh, I can do my things in. He's got, you know what I mean? And you come from a better position, a better start. You're not under the stresses and strains of the state. You're just not willing. But bro, I'm not saying you want to get me on. You know what I'm saying? On there, so yeah, you won't get me on because I'm just Roger on a little feeling to extra, a random dude, even though my name's Roger Moore. You probably laugh at me because I got white privilege name. But listen, guys, all I'll say is I'll pause it there. It's nearly at the end. Oh, it's a very good podcast to listen to. I must admit. I don't want to give too much place to this brother, but it is a good podcast. But it's called Heretics, and they're making out wokeism as being a cult. So it's just like, what's the middle ground, man? What you're saying because you want equality, it's cultic behavior. It's not great, guys. It's not great. It's not good out here, people. Still, anyway. So yeah. So listen, it's watching Affinity Extra. Why did I play that? Do check it out. It's great to listen to these guys. But there's one heck of a stats is that we're not the only people getting shot by police, by the way, they get killed. But I know that we get treated differently by law enforcement. We get treated disproportionately by the system, negatively, to this day. So if we deal with them stats, mate, you wouldn't even want to bring these stats onto the table. You keep quiet and delete this podcast if you want to really deal with that. So, and that's not because we got bad kids out there, because they got very little opportunities. So this is what we're here to do here in Infinity Extra. We're here to create opportunities. We're here to bless people. We're here to grow people. We're here to bring something more positive out there. So yeah, I'm here to people that listen to this. If they got to the end of this conversation and check this out, this is not about to say that basically we're here to go and take over the world and here to over-represent ourselves on TV. But at the end of the day, so what does over-representation really look like? It doesn't look like just having an advert with a youth being in films and programs like Top Boy and stuff like that. So yeah, which is part of your stats, which for me represents black people as negative, in a negative light. So there's not. So where have you really got positive role models of positive outlooks of black people, using them as token gestures and making them do foolishness? It's not for me a good stat. That's what I'm at. So, listen, guys, if you're watching the Finish Extra, man, take up my show enough anyway. So, yeah, but we're going to finish off a track called This Is Christianity. I'm going to probably have to fit in another one after this as well, still, yeah. With Flame, this is watching the Finish Extra, celebrating gospel music about origin.
But there is one who was perfect, and that is Christ. And it's only through him.
Hi, and thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe, you like, and you comment, and make sure that you're sharing the videos and watching so much more. We have loads of content for you. I hope you enjoy.